Hey friends, happy Thursday. Yeah, it's really hard to keep up with the days lately with everything that's going on in the world. I am still working, so that does help, but there's nothing going on in the world, so it's kind of strange to know what day it is. Yeah, so first of all, thank you everyone who has watched my videos so far. The last I checked, the first video had over 130 views. Wow. I mean, thank you. I have never would have expected this kind of reaction, this kind of support from you all. And I really do appreciate that. So thank you. To all of you who have left notes, kind words, anything of that nature, again, I appreciate you. It means a lot to me. And for those of you who have been out there watching, if you do have comments or questions or things you want me to talk about and you don't feel comfortable commenting on my YouTube, I will link my social medias so you can reach out to me that way. But yeah, okay. So I don't really have anything planned tonight. Just a really crappy day, to be completely honest. Like, mental health wise, I am shot. I took a shower before I got on here to record this tonight, so my hair is wet and my glasses are really foggy because they've been on my head. But sometimes you just gotta wash the day off, and so that's kind of what I did today. I don't really guess it's anything in particular, but the world is in such a disarray that it's just really hard to focus, to kind of do anything. I'm gonna back this camera up a little bit. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know. So if you hear the TV on in the background, I have it on Fox Sports Tennessee, watching old reruns of Predators games from earlier this season. And it was nice because I don't know if you're a hockey fan or not, but if you are, all of the Preds social media accounts and the announcers and everyone like that were on live tweeting during the game, and so that was really cool because for a moment you could almost forget that all this crap was going on and everything kind of seemed normal for a minute, and I think that was really cool. Again, all these artists and authors and activists are speaking out on social media, reading from their books, singing us songs, doing live from home concerts. It's incredible the way that the world has kind of come together during this coronavirus nonsense, outbreak, pandemic, craziness, whatever word you want to use. So, maybe if we all treated each other a little kinder like we are now during the regular times, the world wouldn't be such a bad place. And it has been really nice, just from a mental health perspective, to be able to hear from celebrities and authors and people we wouldn't normally hear from live. It's really cool. It's a really neat opportunity that they have given us, trying to make the best out of what we have. So I know we talked a little bit about diagnosis yesterday, and I guess what I want to talk about is something we hit on briefly yesterday about proper medication, right? So the two go hand in hand. You have to get that diagnosis first, and it has to be the correct diagnosis for any medication that you're prescribed to actually work. So another thing that goes along with that is to make sure that you have the proper, to make sure you have the proper medication, you have to make sure that you know what your symptoms are, right? And that can be something really hard, because a lot of times you have to self-identify those symptoms. Obviously, those symptoms may not be continuous. They may not be something that a doctor would see in the office. So that is something that we kind of have to monitor and be aware of. So when it comes to symptoms, let's start there, and then we'll dive into the discussion about medications. So bipolar disorder specifically, since that's kind of where my knowledge base lies. So with bipolar disorder, I don't know if you know what that is, but essentially the easiest way for me to describe it is extreme highs, extreme lows, mood swing city. So if you know me, you know that is very, very true. Even on medication, my moods are still a little wonky. So I guess the most important place to start would be college, which was when we kind of first determined that bipolar disorder was what we were working with. And that was how I kind of knew what symptoms I may have and what to look for. So I guess let's talk about depression, the depressive periods. So everyone kind of experiences bipolar disorder differently. My bipolar disorder really focuses heavily on the depression. That's why it took them so long to realize that I was actually bipolar, because of the extended depressive periods. So during my depression periods, I would like sit in my dorm room, all the lights off, in the bed covered in as many blankets as possible, and just kind of hide away from the world. A little bit like we talked about in the last video, where I kind of self-isolated there for a while after high school. It was very similar to that. But luckily, sorry, I'm cleaning my glasses. But luckily I was blessed enough in college with some really excellent friends. And we're still friends to this day. I just saw everyone back in January. Shout out to my squad. There's some really excellent gals. And we are big Harry Potter nerds. That's kind of what brought us together. Harry Potter, Shadowhunters, the works, you know. And with the depression periods, you know, my friends understood where I was coming from. Some of them had similar experiences. Some of them were also on medications or in therapy, similar things. And so we kind of all worked together to kind of create a community for each other. So if I was weak, the rest of them would be strong together enough for me. If someone else was weak, we would kind of all work together as a team to make sure that the other people in our lives received the care, the support that they needed. So one time in particular, two of my friends, my best friend Prongs and my roommate, another one of my very best friends, Pads. Yes, I know, we're weird Harry Potter nicknames. Shout out to the Marauders. I was down in the dumps. I don't even know how many days I had been laying in that bed. If you guys are watching this and you remember the exact amount of days, please drop a comment. But it had been several days, and it was not good. So they came in there and they're like, you have to get out of bed. And I was like, no. And so this continued. This honestly continued for several minutes. And then they were like, we're not going to be nice anymore. And they yanked the pillows, they yanked the covers, they yanked the sheets all off the bed, right? So all that's left on the bed frame is the mattress and me. And I'm like, okay, great, I've won. I was wrong. They managed to rip the mattress out from underneath me and left me sitting on the box springs. So of course, at that point, I had to get up. And you know, a big shout out to them and the rest of the squad, all my friends who have been there and stuck through it, because I know it's hard, and I do apologize for being the way that I am, but you know, it's not something that can be helped. As long as I'm trying and trying to get better and learn every day, then that's all that we can all ask for. So thank you to you all. So that's kind of a glimpse into the world of depression, Emily style. As far as mania goes, mania is a little more difficult for me. So I have a lot of different mania symptoms. And it's strange because my manic period usually only lasts a couple of days. So, I mean, seriously, we're talking like a day and a half. The really funny thing is, when I wasn't medicated and I was experiencing mania pretty frequently, my manic periods almost always were around the full moon and followed that cycle. So therefore I became Moony out of the Marauders group, and the rest is my werewolf history. But anyway, so manic periods, spending money, holy cow, impulse spending, not being able to control it, just swipe my card, swipe my card, swipe my card. So bad. And it's something that's very common among people with bipolar disorder. When they are in those mania phases, they cannot control themselves. That's still something I struggle with, but not nearly anywhere near as bad. It rarely happens anymore. So yeah, that was a biggie. Another one, I would get in my car, and so I went to school at Tennessee Wesleyan in a small town here in Tennessee called Athens. If you're familiar with the area, there's a town about 30-ish minutes away, and that town is Cleveland, and that was where you would go if you want to go to Target. So, I would occasionally get in my car and drive to Cleveland and just go everywhere. All the stores, not stop. Sun up to sundown, go. And then I would stay up all night. And then when I would crash, boy, I would crash hard. Intense depressive periods. It took me a really long time to bounce back from the mania. So those are my typical telltale signs of mania and depression. However, with bipolar disorder, there can definitely be other symptoms, other things that you experience. This is just my personal take. If you have bipolar disorder and you'd like to share, drop in the comments and let me know what symptoms you experience. Additionally, bipolar disorder can be associated with suicidal thoughts, self-injurious behavior, bipolar disorder can also cause you to self-isolate, feel like no one in the world cares about you, or you don't want to deal with people, you don't want to put yourself in those opportunities. But it can also be existing in a crowded room with all your friends, or even with no one you know, and feeling alone. And I'll tell you, I did experience that pretty recently, back at that Christmas party I mentioned in January. All my friends were here. We were all in the living room. We were, you know, chilling, playing games, opening presents, playing with the dogs. And it was too much. I was overwhelmed. I felt like so isolated. And I don't know why. All my friends were there. My fiance was there. Everyone was there. And I wasn't having it. And so I came in here to the office and I shut the door and just vegged out for a second, and then I returned to the party and no one, not a single person, asked me where I'd been. No one acknowledged that I had been gone or like anything was wrong, and they just immediately looped me into the conversation and made me feel like I was supposed to be there and like I had always been there. And that, my friend, is the true value of friendship. Being able to have open, honest conversations with people is excellent. And what I'm doing here is great to reach a whole bunch of people. But even if you can't do that, try to have those conversations with your friends. If they're really your friends, I promise they will step up and be there. So I say all of this to say, now that I know what my symptoms are, when I get on medication, I can monitor those, right? So if I have my little list here, this is what I experience. And I get on medication and suddenly I don't experience A, B, or D anymore, but I still experience C. That's something I want to report to my doctor. If I don't experience all of the symptoms to the same degree, but maybe a slightly lower degree, again, something I want to mention to my doctor. So once you start a medication, you're kind of like on a trial run, and your doctor tests it, you take the medication and you come in for checkups, and they let you know what they think is best based on the information you tell them. So they may increase your dose, they may keep it the same, they may add a medication, take a medication away, or change your prescription altogether. It is a very long process. It's very tedious. You can only, adjust one thing at a time because you want to isolate one variable to make sure you're kind of figuring out what is affecting what. Additionally, something that's super important is, oh, hold on. Uno! Alright, sorry guys, I think he's okay. If you are if you're taking medications, in addition to what your doctor is prescribing for other health conditions, definitely make sure that you mention those to your mental health provider, because they could have some sort of effect on you on those medications. You never know how drugs are going to interact, but your doctor definitely would. So please mention that to them. So basically, once you get on medication, you want to monitor those symptoms and report all your findings back to your doctor. Much like finding a proper diagnosis, finding a proper medication is a process, and it does take time. So I wish you guys all the best, and I hope that everything goes well for you. Keep up the good fight, and don't give up. Thanks, guys. Bye.